You're picturing red sand, screaming crowds, steel on bone. But if you could step beneath the Colosseum and read the ledgers, you'd see something stranger. Wax tablets, signatures, side bets, appearance fees, bonuses. The arena was a theatre for violence, but the engine that powered it was accounting. Follow the money, and the gladiator stops looking like a doomed prisoner and starts looking suspiciously like a professional athlete. Gladiators began as slaves, criminals, and prisoners of war. Yet by the High Empire, a surprising number were auctors, free men who signed themselves to a school for a fixed term because the pay and fame were better than anything they could get outside. Each fighter belonged to a ludus, a training camp, run by a lanistae. Think of the lanistae as a mix of head coach, gym owner, and hard-nosed agent. He bought or recruited talent, developed it, and then leased fighters to a sponsor, the editor, who was footing the bill for a day of games. The editor wanted a packed amphitheatre and a buzz that reached every tavern in town. The lanistae wanted his assets to win, rise in value, and be leased again. That simple incentive, protect the investment, already tells you why the biggest names didn't die every weekend. Dead stars don't sell tickets. Life inside a ludus looked like a regimented sports academy. Dawn drills, sparring with wooden swords and blunted weapons. Diets heavy in barley and beans, the hordearii, barley eaters, engineered for stamina and recovery. Specialist smiths fitted helmets, arm guards, the manica, and shields to a fighter's body. Doctors were on payroll. One of antiquity's most famous physicians, Galen, learned trauma care treating gladiators. A promising recruit was not just meat for the sand, he was a capital good. The more he trained, the more styles he mastered. Mamillo, with heavy shield and sword, nimble Thrax with curved blade, Retiarius with net and trident. The more marketable he became. When fight day came, the money braided together. The editor paid the lanistae a fee for each bout. If a fighter won spectacularly, a palmarium, bonus money, sweetened the deal. Crowds tossed gifts. Patrons slipped purses to their favorites. After the show, the gossip and wagers moved to baths and taverns, and tomorrow's card began forming. Everywhere you look, a transaction. The amphitheatre as exchange floor. Here's the twist that keeps getting lost in blood and sand fantasies. The business model rewarded survival. Referees, usually former fighters, stood between the combatants with a staff, stopping the action when rules were broken or a fighter was clearly beaten. The defeated could appeal for missio, release. The editor made the final call. The famous thumbs down is a later invention. What mattered in the moment wasn't a memeable gesture, but the crowd's mood, the editor's purse, and the lanistae's negotiations. Killing a crowd puller shrank tomorrow's box office. Let him live, and you could book the rematch. Now zoom out. By the first centuries, CE Rome had turned the gladiator into a brand. Names and win records were painted on walls like street posters. Pompeii's graffiti gushes over local heroes. Fans scratched their crushes into plaster. Oil sellers stamped fighters' faces on little flasks. Snack vendors hawked commemorative cups. The lanistae arranged public appearances and sparring exhibitions. A top fighter's likeness might hang in a shop window the way a champion boxer stares out from a gym poster today. Some fighters earned enough to purchase freedom with a rudis, a wooden sword that symbolized retirement, and then parlayed fame into a second career as instructors, security for the rich, or even entrepreneurs running their own training yards. And yes, there was gambling, oceans of it. Respectable senators and shady operators alike made sponsiones, private bets, often large enough to swing a family fortune. With money comes temptation. There are complaints and jokes about fixed fights, about a favorite who hurt his ankle at the perfect moment, about a referee who somehow missed the foul. The arena produced the same shadow economy that shadows every big sport: backroom deals, tipsters, and rumors that a certain bout was for show. None of this makes the combat fake. It makes it profitable. If that sounds un-Roman, too calculating for a culture supposedly obsessed with honor, look at the way Rome wove the games into politics. A would-be power broker sponsored a spectacular not out of charity, but for clout. Put on a lavish show, feed the people, deliver a heroic arc or two, and voters remembered your name. The state taxed the trade that bloomed around the games: lodging, food, crafts, wages. Crowds poured into the city. Merchants thrived. The amphitheater wasn't separate from the economy. It was an economy, humming in step with the treasury and the ballot. The individual fighter moved through that machine like a modern star athlete. He trained for a style, built a following, learned to play to the crowd. He cultivated a look: massive shield and squared stance for the Mamilo's brute drama, hooded helmet and stalking movement for the sinister secutor, the flashy net throw of the retiarius. A distinct style brought a distinct audience. Stage names stuck. Fans took sides. Our Thraex can beat your Mamilo. And if a rivalry caught fire? The editor booked the trilogy. What about pay? Numbers on ancient pay stubs are rare, but inscriptions and contracts make the shape clear. Appearance fees, win bonuses, gifts from patrons, and sometimes private retainers from the wealthy. A top drawer could amass enough to live comfortably, buy freedom, and retire with students. Not everyone became rich. That's as true for sports today as it was then, but the ceiling was higher than most imagine. Flammer, a celebrated fighter, was offered freedom 4 times and refused it 4 times. You don't turn down liberty unless the life you've built inside the system pays handsomely in coin and status. None of this erases the danger. Blades cut, bones broke. Tombstones of fighters tell stories of men dead at 25, 30, 35. Estimates of fatality per bout vary widely by era and venue. Even the low numbers are sobering. But again, look at incentives. Every improvement that protected fighters without draining drama, better helmets, stronger arm guards, referees quick to step in, was good business. The blood you remember from movies was not the default setting. It was the marketing. The consistent product was risk-managed spectacle. Even the myths around mercy and death are shaped by money. The editor's decision, kill or spare, was less morality play than cost-benefit calculation. Had the loser fought bravely? Would mercy turn boos to cheers and push the next show's demand? Did the lanistae just whisper that his other star was injured and he really needed this one for the headline bout next month? The crowd loved to feel powerful, but the purse was the real sovereign. And then there's desire. Ancient love poems and graffiti obsess over fighters' bodies. Gladiators were the darlings of Venus, a paradox of shame and allure. Respectable women were warned against them, which of course made them more compelling. For a fighter, attention translated into invitations, gifts, and patrons. A romance with a senator's wife could be dangerous. It could also be lucrative. Fame is a currency that spends well in every century. Step into a single day and the system snaps into focus. At dawn, the fighters review match plans with the lanistae. Which weapons, which style, what tempo. Midday they parade, not just to salute the editor, but to flash brand recognition. Helm polish bright, plumes straight, scar visible. The undercard warms the seats, the crowd picks sides. The referee briefs both men. Rules are agreed. The bout crackles, feints, charges, the crowd chanting names. A clean hit lands. The loser stumbles and raises a finger in appeal. Noise swells. The editor milks the moment, weighs the purse, glances at the lanistae, and signals mercy. The crowd erupts. They'll pay to see the rematch. Afterward, someone from a famous bakery sends over sweetbread and a note. Come sign jars for the stall on market day. The fighter smiles. Another coin stream unlocked. By evening, the amphitheater is quiet, and the math continues. The editor tallies costs against prestige gained. The lanistae counts fees and assesses injuries. The fighter's trainer notes what to sharpen in camp. A scribe chalks a victorious name on a practice wall to keep morale hot. Tomorrow the posters go up. Next month the same names meet again. Bigger purse, bigger crowd. The story ends, for the lucky few, with a ceremony. A veteran stands in the arena one last time and accepts a rudes, the little wooden sword that says he's finished as a slave to the schedule. It is not a symbol of poverty. He leaves with savings, patrons, and the option to return as a coach. Students line up because nothing sells a gym like a champion at the door. The Colosseum made him. Now he'll make the next generation and bill accordingly. So was the arena cruel? Of course. But cruelty wasn't the goal. Spectacle that paid was the goal. The blood primed the crowd. The contracts decided the endings. Once you understand that, the cliches go quiet and a different picture emerges of a vast entertainment economy where a man could start as property and, with skill, luck, and branding, walk out a celebrity with a future. The Colosseum wasn't just Rome's bloodiest stage, it was its richest marketplace, a place where reputations were minted, fortunes were risked, and the most valuable thing on the sand was not a life lost, but a name the crowd would pay to see again.